Hello everyone, I am Vivek Raja, organizer of AWS User Group Madurai, and I all welcome you all for the pilot episode of AWS Cloud Practitioner Bootcamp. So this is one of the special bootcamps I have ever hosted or ever organized. So the main reason is it's community led and it's completely new and it's beginner friendly. So in today's pilot episode of AWS Cloud Practitioner Bootcamp, so we'll first kickstart with a welcome talk by Maheshwar Kumar and Neetu Malan. So the reason is they will explain you why we actually have this bootcamp in place and what it really likes to be a AWS certified person. And then we will then understand like what's the benefits and everything that is associated with it. Then we'll jump into the first episode where we'll be talking about introduction to cloud computing and AWS, creating an AWS account. So again, once again, I welcome you all to today's session on behalf of AWS User Group Madurai. So since it's a community-led event and it's organized by people of just like you and me, so there are few things which you have to keep in mind since we are all gathering virtually as well. So be aware of others and be welcoming and respectful. And since it's an online platform and we have people from diverse backgrounds and everything, so it's a good manners to be very respectful, be friendly and patient, and be understanding of the differences we have between us. And it can be of anything in terms of experience, knowledge, or culture, or language, or anything. And be kind and considerate to others, and be open to all questions and viewpoints. So make sure that you have very respectful comments posted in our channel, and if you have any doubts, please do post that in our YouTube comments. We like to really take it up at the end of the session. And if you do really have some feedback, we would like to hear that as well. So, yep. So we have AWS User Group Madurai, and we are kickstarting AWS Cloud Practitioner Bootcamp. So I'll just let you know why we have it here. So it's a first community-led initiative. Reason why we say it as a community-led initiative is that uh, all the speakers are completely new to AWS, more or less. So their experience are as a newbie to AWS are just starting to work with AWS. And this bootcamp is giving a platform to all the speakers, mostly first timers, to take up a particular topic, learn, and then deliver back to the community. So this actually ensures that we everyone learn together, and it also helps us in getting certified as well. So it's completely beginner friendly. So if you feel intimidated that I'm very new to AWS or may not this may not be actually suitable for me, you're completely wrong. We are kickstarting it from the very basics that anyone wants to learn. And just to remember that this session is also delivered by a person who is just as new as you to AWS. And as organizers of and coordinators of this bootcamp, what we actually ensure that we ensure the quality so that even the first timers deliver the quality that everyone needs to know. And it's completely beginner friendly, so we won't be using any business jargons or something like that, but we'll introduce you all the concepts and terminologies in a very easier way. And besides that, we as a bootcamp, we just not teach but also help you prepare for the certification. So we give you practice test and a hands-on sessions, and we do have doubt clearing sessions will be taking place from time to time, so that whenever you prepare for your certification, you can just come back to us and clear your doubts. And doubt clearing session are just one part. You are actually free open to join a Slack community, and then you can ask doubts anytime and any place, and we'll be really helpful to answer you. As I what I mentioned by we is that it's not just the experts who will be referring to your and responding to your questions, but it's also the community of more than 200 members who's actively and curious to learn just like you, and they'll be also able to respond if they know the answers. And of course, we have special giveaways planned for this entire bootcamp. So stay tuned for every single sessions, and every single session will happen every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. So book your calendars and jump into your YouTube channel so we'll be able to live stream. So coming to the giveaways, so we'll be planning every single giveaway for every single session, and the details of the giveaways and the contest will be posted in our Slack. You must be seeing your Slack invite link in the chat box as well as in the banner. So make sure that you drop into a Slack channel to get updated to the latest news. And also at the end of the Cloud Practitioner Bootcamp, we are giving a capstone project to make sure that that covers entirety of the complete concepts which we covered, and also helps you to get industry ready for applying the same concepts. And the best winners will also win amazing giveaways which comes from AWS. And this is not just about theory classes. So we're not just going to show you, okay, learn this particular concept, learn that. No. So we are going to introduce all the concepts. We are also going to take you through the console, help you to implement that. We'll give a complete tutorial walkthrough, and we will also provide you all the resources that you can try when you are free as well. So this is a combination of both learning as well as hands-on. So now that I guess you feel very comfortable that why we actually started our particular community and our bootcamp in first place. So I'd like to welcome Maheshwara Muthusamy, who is organizer of AWS User Group Madurai, and he is also AWS community builder for data. Hello,
Hi.
Maheshwara, you are live right now. Hi, how
Yeah,
are you doing?
yeah, fine. Thanks, Vivek, for the introduction. Welcome all. First of all, I like to thank all of the people who has joined this session in the evening. So we earlier had an inaugural session and the International Women's Day session, and today we have the AWS Cloud Practitioner Bootcamp. So this is going to be a small informative session. This Cloud Practitioner is going to be the introductory certification actually. So this is like the gateway to the AWS cloud world. So here you tend to learn all the new basics and what are the things related to AWS, whomever it may be, whether it is from any terms, any industry, you can learn this. You can be part of this boot camp actually, and you can be able to understand the concepts of AWS. So we'll be starting from the scratch, and Vivek will be walking you through the basic steps how to register you in AWS console and how to open an account and how to register for it. So you stay tuned actually, and you'll be getting a lot of abundant informations and useful informations in this session. And need your continuous participation in this bootcamp. So it is planned in every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Make your participation and make use of these sessions, and try to equip yourself with the AWS knowledge. Thank you, guys, and participate in the session. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your amazing welcome note. So, yep, please do join our Slack channel on also register for a bootcamp to get know about the upcoming sessions. And as I said, it will happen every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. So, with that being said, I would also like to welcome uh, our expert, who is Neeta Menon, who is manager at Citicorp Services Private Limited. She has also completed AWS Cloud Practitioner exam, and she will walk you through what does AWS certification mean and how it really helps you in the career as well. So I would like to add her to the stream right now. So hi,
Hey,
hello, how are
hi.
you doing?
Hi, Vivek. I'm good. How are you?
Yep, good here. So thank you for joining for today's session, and of course she is also coordinator of this bootcamp. So if you have any questions related to any certifications or especially regarding our bootcamp, please feel free to ping any of one of us or ping in our Slack community as well. So over to you.
Thanks, Vivek. So I think Vivek and Maheshwara Kumar have already mentioned that this is the first ever community-led initiative that we have done here. So all of us who are going to be a part of, I mean, delivering sessions in this boot camp are either new to the cloud or are learning. So it's so like we also are going to completely hone our own skills while upskilling you guys. So we really need your participation and your interest in these sessions to make it a success, and this would even help you guys in return. So now talking about my cloud journey, I transitioned into cloud. I mean, more of as my own personal project was last year, and my certification for cloud practitioner I completed in December. So, like, first of all, why we like anyone who is new to cloud, right? They think why cloud skills? I mean, why do we need cloud skills? So basically, in cloud, there are so many things that the world is now rapidly moving to, like AI, or machine learning, or IoT, and all of this, if you see, is being handled in the cloud. And we have, we use Google Cloud for storing our mails, and so it naturally makes us curious to understand how that works, in the background. How does it work? So that's one of the reasons why I tried to move, because I had an interest in IoT. So I tried to move to cloud. And also post COVID era, there's been considerably a great number of companies moving to cloud, because they don't want to manage the infrastructure, the things that we'll be discussing in the basics now, when Vivek discusses it. So all these reasons are necessary why we need cloud skills, because once we upskill, we can also become a part of the community, and we can learn, and we can gain such certifications, which are basically validations of our knowledge. So that helps us in, say, moving to a new career in cloud. So I do not have a background in cloud, but I am looking for a movement. Same way, someone who is from a non, but I'm from from a technical background. So I've been in IT, but even people from non-IT backgrounds, or say totally in sales or marketing or anything, there's no use to it. Even freshers, once they learn, they upskill themselves, have worked on hands-on labs, and gain such validations through certifications, they can easily move to cloud. And that's one of the stepping stones into the new career that you can, a better world, a better corporate world that you can get into. So for me, for preparation for the cloud practitioner, it took around 3 months. So I first went through different Udemy courses. So one via a trainer named Stefan Marak. So it was a very good session. So good, this which takes almost kind of 3 weeks. So I learned through that, and I went through practice tests. So that's very important when you're giving a cloud certification. Even though you go through sessions and you learn through sessions, it's important that you validate your knowledge. You see that, at least you get, when you give practice tests, same like the way we do in college, right? We give exams. Before giving the main exam, we give model papers or things like that. So that's how it works. So you give sample tests to understand where you stand. So until and unless I got a 90% in the practice test, I did not give the main exam. So I gave a lot of practice tests, and that's how I prepared. There are a lot of free resources available, say AWS Skill Builder, and well-architected labs. There are certain tutorials, some sites like Tutorials Dojo, and sessions by AWS itself, which mentions like different, what are the cloud practitioner essentials. How is the marking done for the exams? What are the topics that are looked in for, and what's the rating for each topic? Say how much percentage computing has, how much percentage storage or network, all these holes. So even though there is no negative marking in the exam, uh, mostly people who give the exam are asked to kind of give all the, fill all the questions, give the answers for all the questions, because there's no negative marking. So even guesswork is fine. So that's how I kind of gave the exam, multiple practice tests and sessions. So even someone who is fresher or who is new to cloud can go through AWS Skill Builder, which has a lot of resources, and like 6 hours sessions for cloud practitioner essentials. And definitely there's our community, which is going to give you a boot camp, a set of sessions wherein you can understand what are the essentials of cloud, what is each and every service doing in cloud, right? And apart from that, I think that's how what covers the resources for studying. And now like in the future, I'm looking for certification. Like I currently am preparing for associate level certification. So there are even challenges. Say something like if you are wanting to give an associate exam, what you can do is basically, or cloud practitioner exam, what you can do, you can say give a time. You can already book the exam, schedule the exam 3 months ahead or 2 months ahead. That way you'll be motivated to give the exam. You won't kind of have a laid back attitude, because sometimes we have work, we have things to learn, so we forget. I mean, we don't somewhere down the line we move away from our goal. So if you are going to give a cloud practitioner exam, and if you're going to study, make a habit of scheduling the exam beforehand, 2 months ahead, so that you can always rely on it. I mean, to make you remember that okay, you have to give the exam, and you have to, there's an end goal to it. Yeah. So yeah, that's it from my side, Vivek.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I was muted. So yep, to hear from an expert who's actually completed a certification, it really helps us and motivates that it really what we need to follow and what we need to take to correctly
I can't
to
hear
take up
you
a
clearly,
certification.
Vivek.
I'm sorry for that. Is it audible right now? Can you hear me? Okay, just confirm from the comments that if you can hear my voice properly. uh yes, I think it's my voice can be heard, but okay. So
Hey, sorry,
yeah.
Vivek, I dropped off. Yeah, there's some
Okay,
problem
no
on my
issues. Yep. So thank you for your amazing session. It's actually give us motivation and inspiration that we are able to understand what a certification really looks like and what it really helps us to take one and what steps that we really need to take to get started with that. So with that being said, thanks a lot for joining for us, and please do ask questions in your chat box, and we would like to take the questions at the end of the session. Anything regarding AWS or anything regarding certifications, if you wish so. So right now we'll carry on with the first episode, and thanks to you as well. So let me again go back to my presentation. So give me a second. Okay, so once again, yep, I guess now that we know why we actually have this boot camp in place, and also we heard from our expert like what it really takes to achieve a certification and hold it. So uh, once again, let me iterate through the details of the bootcamp. So we have 12 episodes, and each episode will cover different topics that is essential for you to learn for AWS Cloud Practitioner exam. And each episode will be delivered by a speaker who will be preparing on this particular topic and delivering to that to you. So you can ask any questions related to this one, and we'll be able to help you as well. So let's jump right into the first episode, introduction to cloud computing, and also how we need to create an AWS account. So let's just forget like whatever we know right now and just start from very basics and very from scratch. So what is cloud computing? So now that let's assume you have a laptop or you have a PC, so you have a particular CPU which has a particular configuration and everything. And now that you have started working and there are a couple of applications that you need to run, that does not suit your particular OS. For example, if you have a Linux, probably like many will run. But if you want to really run a game, yep, it doesn't suit. And if you want to run a Photoshop editor or something like that, which is only available for Windows, then that's not the good place as well. So when you have some specific requirements that cannot be satisfied by only your PC, that might actually force you out to buy a new PC or go with a different configuration every single time you have different applications incoming. So that does not really sound good, right? And if you have a particular configuration, for example, I have a 4 gigs of RAM and like 8 gigs of RAM with a particular number of memory and everything. So there is a bunk application which is coming in, and I really don't have much of a graphics card or memory to work with this application. And most of the times I don't really work with bulk applications, I just work with normal inbuilt system applications. Then I don't really need that big configuration. But how do you really suit your different configuration from time to time? Do you really need to buy different computers, or how about we rent? So that's what we do, right? So what if I told you that cloud computing is just like renting a car? So you necessarily need not own a car, but for example, if you're just going for a one single person drive, you can opt for a simple a car which actually travels within the city. Or probably like right now, imagine that you're only one person traveling across two different states. That you need a comfortable car to drive, as well as you don't need much of a space to for other passengers. Now let's assume that your family hops in as well, and you have to take them through a couple of states. From, for example, you're traveling from Madurai to Bangalore, or from Madurai to Chennai, or somewhere else. So you're traveling around 450 kilometers. So you need a comfortable car that can accommodate four passengers, and the car should be able to handle a long distance drive comfortably. So this is your requirement. And what if I say like now you need a particular like 15 or 20 family members, or going for a tour for 3 to 4 days? That means uh, then again you need to go for a different type of vehicle. So what you would actually do here, would you be buying different cars for every single purchase or for every single purpose, or you go for a specific car for yourself and then buy or rent a car whenever the requirement scales up immediately? For example, right now I'm going to go for a tour with my family of 15 members. Then I would go and rent a vehicle for that. So that's the best choice and cheap and cost effective, right? So that's exactly what we are doing in cloud computing. So we have set of configurations and services, which is okay that if you want to use it for only for personal uses. But when you have to scale for an enterprise and your requirements are very dynamic, that you have to work on different scaling, and you have to ensure that the that your system and your configuration never breaks down at any point of time, then you have to rely on someone else. So who you're going to rely on? So that's where the cloud providers come into picture. So again the question comes up, who are cloud providers? So cloud providers are, for example, Google Cloud, AWS, Azure, and so on. So now again, so you say them that they are cloud providers. What do they provide? So cloud providers provide you compute, storage, networking, and every sort of services that is required for your applications to run. And also they ensure that applications and the services which they provide do not really fail at some percentage of SLA. So let's not worry about the SLA. So SLA is sort of an agreement that you agree. So I guarantee that this card will never break down. So your dealer says that. Same wise, a cloud provider says that if I give you a database service to you, I can ensure that this database never goes down. Or if it goes down, I will be responsible for making sure the data is never lost. So these are the commitments that goes between you and the cloud provider. So you agree on few terms, and you take the responsibility on your side, and the cloud provider takes the responsibility on theirs. So then you both agree and you start using the service. So that's how a cloud computing really looks like. So you can go to your cloud provider, you can then just pay for what you want to do, or a particular scheme for pricing, then you start using the services. So that's exactly cloud computing. So, what actually benefits that cloud computing really provides? So, lower IT infrastructure and cloud computer costs for users. So, as I said, like, what if I need to buy 10 different configuration systems? Rather, I will just use and go and spin up the necessary compute power that is really necessary for me to run. So, you don't really have to spend 10 computers, but you have to just then you have to just look for an IT infrastructure that will support your works and improved performance. So your cloud provider actually guarantees that, okay, I will provide you that there is this much percentage of service that will be done, and also there will be no service down, and so and so. So they are giving you some sort of a performance agreement, and ensure that I can get your custom, your local environment services may not actually map to the performance which is delivered by cloud provider. For example, let's take a database again. So the number of read writes that happens between your local spin up server that you have in your on-premise or in your system, compared to the DynamoDB what they have there, has much more increased performance, and relatively it's much more cheap. So fewer maintenance issue. So when you manage something by your own, let's again take the example of a car. See, if you own a car, you have to do the maintenance. You have to go for a regular checkups and services. You have to ensure that your parts are working perfectly so that it does not break down in middle of the road, which means that means in your cloud computing, if you manage your own server, you take up the responsibility that it does not fail while it's in the production, right? So you have to maintain your server well so that it does not happen in production. So same goes for the maintenance code. So in cloud providers and the services which they provide, they guarantee that the maintenance is not much required because most of the services are completely managed by the cloud provider. So same again, let's come back to our the rental car services. So your rental car agency actually ensures that okay, this car is working at the fine condition. So you can just rent a book a car and start working, and you can just drive and you go by. So you don't really care about what maintenance it has gone through. You just ensure that this maintenance is done properly by your agency. So you really pay for it, right? So that's covered under your cost. And instant software updates. So right now, again, let's come back to the rental car service because I feel that's the best example that I can explain you for. So you're going for a hiking trip, and now your car needs to have an additional bike hiking facility to hold your bike in your car. So right now, you have to fit it by yourself if you have a personal car. I'm going to my rental agency. I ask for them, right? Do you have this particular feature that I can use a car for? And they say no. So, but you request them. So, what they do, they just fit a complete one for you so that you can use it. So, it's temporary, but they allot it for you so that you can use it for as per your convenience. So, what's the benefit? You really take up a car which is suitable for your configuration, and rent a car agency can easily put it up and remove it when he can because he has all the resources with him. And both are happy here because he was able to provide the service you want, and both are happy and goes home happy. So you can do instance software updates while you are using resources or services from your cloud computing, from your cloud provider. So improve compatibility between operating services. So which means your car can be an automatic car or a transmission car, right? So you don't really have to depend on which car you really want to take out for a particular day. So if you're convenient in driving an automatic car, then yep. So you can go for and book a car which is automatic, or if you really want a manual transmission car, which is actually you put a gear to drive a car, right? So that means that enables that you can shift between the basic terminologies of how a car works, and you can use it per your use. So if you really take a context of an Indian market as compared to an European or an American market, most of the Indians drive a manual car, so which has a gearbox, and we have to apply gear for the speed transmissions. But most of the cars in European market are automatic, so they don't really have about the gearbox, but what they really have is parking, neutral drive, and so on so if that is there, so they are much more convenient in driving that car. You're actually convenient in driving a gearbox, and a global rent car services should cater both of the users. Then they will have a car which is having both the features. I mean, like they'll have cars which has the respective features, and they can allocate the car according to their uses. So exactly that's how your improved compatibility between the operating service works. So I'll just quickly hop on if there is any questions. And if you have any questions, please do drop it in the chat box. I'd like to really take it at the end of the session. So coming back again, so backup and recovery. So one important aspect is that data should never be get lost. And if it really gets a service goes down, make sure that the data is saved and you can recover when you want to. So which means your car, if it breaks down, make sure that your car can be towed or it can be repaired at any point of time without actually depending on anyone. So what if your car rental agency provides a service person immediately wherever you are stuck? So that's what cloud providers do. So they health check, and they ensure that they can recover the data what you stored in their services. And performance scalability, you can spin up anything you want according to your services, increase storage, and increase data safety. So I'll come back to the safety a little bit later, but yeah. So they ensure that your data is safe, and as compared to the configurations you have to do manually while you are in your own local service or on premises. So now that we actually explained like why it's really important that a cloud computing makes a big picture over here as compared to in a software domain. So now that we understood like these are the benefits that we can really reap out of cloud computing, now let's just understand a couple of other concepts which we really need to know. One is types of cloud. So types of cloud are can be basically put into four, but main are public and private clouds. So public clouds are where a normal user like me, I want to go and use the services provided by a provider. I can go to AWS right now, create an account, and start spinning up the service. So that can be done. So that's a public cloud where they invite public or the users to host their applications in their cloud, but you have to pay for it. And private cloud is where only the internal users of a particular organization uses it. So, for example, an IBM might have its own private cloud where only the IBM users can actually use the particular concepts of the applications and create use the services of the cloud. So that's private. And hybrid cloud is a combination of both public and private, is where they allow users, they have their own section of private, but they also allow public user to use the cloud as well. And community cloud is a cloud which is maintained by the community, and it's like a particular group of people for a particular objective try to have a cloud dedicated for them. And now comes the types of cloud services. So there are three different cloud services which we really need to know. So that is called as a service models. So one is SaaS, software as a service. Second one is PaaS, which is platform as a service, and information as a service, IaaS. So what does it really mean? So software as a service is where they give the application for you to use directly. So you don't really have to manage anything as you want. So as a platform as a service is where they give the platform to you, but you take the responsibility of running the application on it. But underneath, they manage the whole platform, how it needs to be done. So that platform as a service. And infrastructure as a service is where they give you bare metal and resources that needs to be built and which you have to manage for the services to run your applications. So that's infrastructure as a service. For example, that comes under VM. So if you are hosting a VM by yourself, it's the responsibility of you to configure that VM and use it. So that's infrastructure as a service. So this is one of I think SaaS has actually revolutionized how cloud actually revolutionized SaaS, and SaaS is revolutionizing the software domain. Let's assume like you want to build a startup. So I myself who is working in a startup and R provides a SaaS product. So what do you mean by SaaS? I actually concentrate much more on working on my code applications and the application how it's really need to work, but I don't really care about how it's actually deployed and how it need to be provided to the users. So I give all the responsibility to my cloud provider, saying that you completely manage my app. I just bring my code to it. Yep. So I just submit my code and the application runs seamlessly with my configuration and my preferences, so that your application is 24/7 live, and also it satisfies the needs of your expectations as well. So most of the startup products are software as a service. For example, Google Docs, or for example, you could take Zoho. Zoho has so many services which is completely SaaS. And most of the, if you take most startups, and most of the products are SaaS products. So which means you can concentrate on working and deploying new features, rather if the cloud will providers will take the responsibility of how it's being hosted and do. So that's a very much need of having a cloud computing. So coming back to the software as a service and so and so, let's assume that you have nothing. Just forget cloud right now. So in legacy IT, for example, in early 2000s, the companies buy their respective servers, a huge server farm, and they in turn manage the complete server by themselves, which means they manage the configuration of the servers, the health of the servers, that is nothing but data centers and networking to configure and communicate with the servers, the storage which is required, and the visualization in the sense how to allocate the different memories and to have an abstraction of the requirements with the downline infrastructures and operating system. For example, few applications might use Linux and few applications might use Windows. So they have to manage of having different operating systems and so on, so and databases. So coming to the databases, they have to have different databases, make sure that they are being completely backed up from time to time so that they don't lose any data, and they are completely in charge of the security. So if someone hacks a server, they can completely rip off the whole application, and above which the application which is runs. So the complete stack is managed by the enterprise IT, which is your on premises. So coming to the infrastructure as a service, so what is being managed by the customer and what is being provided by the cloud provider? So cloud provider manages the complete servers, networking, and the data centers for you. You decide on what operating system are you work with and how you want to configure the security of accessing that particular infrastructure and how you want to use applications over there. So what I mean by that is, for example, you're spinning up a virtual machine. So if a virtual machine is there, you define like, okay, I want a Windows virtual machine, and I want to install a MongoDB in that, and I lay down a security that okay, I need a virtual cloud security in that particular VM, and I want to open only 3000 and 3001 UDP ports. You can configure it, but you are managing that how it needs to be done, and above which you deploy the application and your VM now hosts your application. So you take care of the operating system, databases, security, and applications, whereas a cloud provider ensures that this particular VM is allocated to you with the respective networking and the storage which you requested for, and it completely manages that VM. So that's infrastructure as a service. So what is platform as a service? Your platform as a service actually ensures that you just bring your application into picture. We will take care of everything what you need. So when it terms in terms of that, you define like how this application needs to be deployed and so on. So they ensure security, databases, operating system, virtual, and everything. One good example of that is one second. One good example of that is your AWS Beanstalk. So where you actually bring and show that I need to deploy a node system over there, and what I need to do is I just need to just deploy my server, and I need to deploy my server and deploy my application and start working on it. So that's platform as a service. So the security, the databases, operating systems, you don't really care what's happening behind it, but you just bring your code and your applications to it. So that's platform as a service. So most of the stack is managed by cloud provider, and you just concentrate on your application. So coming to your software as a service, you don't manage anything. So the applications is provided by the cloud itself. You just use it as per your need. For example, I can create a Google account right now and go and use a Google Docs over there. So that's a software which is provided by Google. I don't really need to install anything, but I can start using the application instantaneously. So that's a service which is provided by the cloud. Let's try to use some more analogies as well. So you're going to a service where you can just pick out like most of your applications, for example your social medias and anything. You don't really download it, but you just use it in your internet directly. So those are all software service, and those all softwares are actually hosted somewhere in cloud. So that's our software as a service models. So again, coming to that simple questions which we were circling at the beginning. So if you assume that you have a system but you have different configuration and so, would you really go and buy different configuration of your systems, or would you go to cloud and spin a particular virtual machine according to your need? So yeah, scalability comes into issues, and you can spin up anything and as much as you want as long as you pay for it. So elasticity in cloud computing. So now you may ask a question to me again. So let's again come back to the rental agreement, the rental car service. So you say right now, okay, I'm going to buy a tempo traveler or an RUE or something like that, a big car which can actually accommodate 15 passengers in a while, and which means I can always carry, like even if I'm traveling alone, I can take the vehicle, or if I need to carry 15 passengers, I can do it. So you make a complete sense. But let's take into the other aspects. So first question, do you always travel alone, or do you always travel with 15 members? No, that's a rare case. So most of the time it's either you or few persons who are traveling alone, not every all the 15 persons. So now comes to the second question. So what is the maintenance cost as compared to a small car accommodating 4 persons and a traveler which is accommodating 15 persons? So your services checkups will be much more higher. The petrol and the fuel gases, and for the amount of the travel which you really need to use, will be very very high. So maintenance, the cost will be relatively very high. Coming to the third question, so now that you actually discussed about, okay, the accommodating of the passengers, as well as what is the count of this one, so let's try to understand like what really happens if you really want to sell a particular car and go back to a car which is only used by you. So you really discard that car. Can you do it immediately? You need to go and sell your car. So that's the only place. So with these three questions answered, let's try to analyze this graph. So let's first example, like let's again compare with the rental car. So you have to carry three people at once. So let's assume like the number of passengers is three. Now there are four. Now there are five, and increases as time. So I can go for a four-seater car here. I can go for an SUV of six-seater over here. I can accommodate the same SUV, like for example, if it's seven, I can go with a four-seater here. I can still go with a four-seater here. I can go with a SUV of six. I can go with a particular SUV of six-seater again if I need to. So with that being said, these requirements keep changing from time to time. So instead of me getting a seven-seater car, which is very high in cost and maintenance and everything, what I would do is I can go to a rental agency, take the car which is necessary, use it, return it back, and just pay for the amount, the number of kilometers which I travel. Same like that. So imagine you need a service which has a require demand for it. For example, the number of users which may be using the applications, or maybe how much intensive the application or the service is being used. So if the demand is less, you can just have three servers in place. If your demand is high, you can spin up seven, and you just pay for how much servers you use and how much time you use, and that's called pay as you go by model. So that's really effective for you, and it really helps in okay, just me, let's sorry, I need to great. So I just come back with the presentation again. Okay, great, it's back. I just ensure that it's shared. mm, yes. Okay, so coming back again, as we were discussing about the elasticity in cloud. So now we understood that the demand changes over time, and you have to uh, use the resources as you really need to. So that's a best example. And second thing is, your application might actually fail at any point of time. This is a thumb rule. So this is Murphy's law. If something really can go wrong, it will definitely go wrong. Your application will really fail in production. I'm not being pessimist, or I'm not just being cursing at your application, but this is a reality. But your smart thinking is how we can overcome that, or in the worst case scenario, how we can work on it. So that's where it comes into picture. So what I mean by high availability is that uh, you make sure that your application is available for the users to use at all point of time. If something goes wrong, there should be necessary backups, and to make sure the application seamlessly running and without any disturbances. So in your on premise, let's assume like your servers go down, your applications goes down. In cloud, you can ensure that, okay, if a particular server goes down, I can immediately switch and spin up another server, and I can transfer the data and make the application running as same as before without any single disturbance. So that can be done. So that's high availability as well. So now comes a big question. So now I am saying, okay, so this is an interesting scenario that we can discuss. So let's again come back to a particular scenario where I'm going to use there are 15 persons you have to take for a tour. Just work it out. So you can also write down in the comments. I'll really be looking for it. So there are 15 persons. What you would do? The first option is buy rent. Let's assume like now I'm going to for a VM, so which is I'm going to rent. So rent a particular 15-seater car. So will you go for a 15-seater, or will you go for three cars which can accommodate five passengers each? Or let's assume like make it much more simple. I can go for four cars which can accommodate four passengers every single time. Which option would you go? Option one or option two? You can drop your questions, answers in your comment. uh, can you do it? So what would be the right way of doing it? So would you go for the option one or would you go for option two? It's not about cloud computing or anything. Just forget about the VMs. Let's assume like, okay, so you have to take 15 members to a particular trip. Would you take them in a one single car, or would you take them in four cars or four? Which one is actually a cheap option, or a better option would you feel? So that be option one. Puvalan says option one. That's interesting. Does anyone have an vote for was of option two? Each one has its own pros and cons, says Monish. Yep, that's true as well. So now let's again, is there any more answers? But I would really take one single side answer for it. So any one or option two. So any more answers? So it's option one or it's option two. So we have around many people who are currently watching. You can just drop your comments in your comment box. Okay, so Anmol says it's option one. Okay, right. So let's discuss the aspects of this one. So what does this particular VM is that I spin up a configuration that I can accommodate 15 members at particular place, or I go for four different cars which can accommodate of different configurations. So make sure that I can accommodate everyone as I need to. So everyone has its own pros and cons. So this is called vertical scaling, and this is called horizontal scaling. So horizontal scaling is where when your demand increases, you increase the number of VMs. For example, now that I want to add three more members to the trip, what I would do is I will create a new VM, or in our analogy, I will hire another car, put these three persons over here. Or what if this actually really means? This actually really means my applications is intact and it runs seamlessly with all the other services which needs to be run along with it. So in the vertical scaling, I just increase the configuration that now that, let's assume like you have your SEV, but it can have a connectivity of increasing a separate tunnels or something like that. And for example, a connectivity. So what if I can increase the configuration? I can still use the same application in one single VM. That can also be done. But what if this VM fails? Your whole application again fails. But what if this particular VM failed? I can always spin up a next second VM, a backup VM, and can run it as well. And let's assume like this particular car fails, but all the other persons in this particular VM can still go to the destination, and this VM can be replaced and join the tour a little bit late, but still it would make to the destination. But here, when this particular VM runs into for trouble, everyone is stranded. You have to bring the VM back to the health before you can actually take them back. So those are the pros and cons which actually has with vertical scaling and horizontal scaling, and it depends on the total context. Now comes to the question which I actually left behind in one of my slides. I told that I'll come back to the security aspect a little bit later. So your question is that, okay, now my cloud provider said that I will take the responsibility of the networking, storage, and how your application to be run and everything. But when it comes to security, it's shared between us. Why do cloud providers do that? Yep, the answer is within the question itself. So the reason is, when it comes to most of the services in cloud, it's called shared responsibility. That you don't completely rely on a cloud server, a cloud provider, but you do have some responsibility in that. So you you guarantee a few things which you will do for your applications to make sure that it's secure. Your cloud provider will do a couple of things to make sure your application which is being hosted is secure. So together you make sure that your whole application is secure. So that must be how it should. So it should be the responsibility of both the cloud provider and the responsibility of the organization or the user to ensure that you follow the security guidelines and you ensure the whole application hosted in their particular cloud provider as safe. So it's a shared responsibility of both cloud provider and the user, to be in short. So I think now that we actually covered most of the aspects of what is cloud computing and why do we really need cloud computing and what's the benefit that is associated with it, we also saw different types of models of cloud computing and types of cloud computing, and we understood what's a shared responsibility model as well. So now let's jump back and see how to create a new AWS account. But before that, let me take a couple of questions if you really need, if you have so. So, yep, we do have a lot of questions which is coming. So, yeah, I think we'll have a put up a particular discussion at the end as well. So, once again, um let me again share my screen. I'll go back and share my browser so that I can show you how to create an AWS account. So, give me a second on that. Right. I'm going to share my entire window, but I'm going to switch it as fast as I can. So what you have to do is, yep, I'll come back to skill builders and so on so late. So go and search in your any search engine as AWS console. So that really takes you somewhere called aws.amazon.com/console. So I have already logged in, so which will directly take me to this one. So once again, so once you actually log into your console, you can see all the certification resources, all your free AWS training, your AWS certification, and so on. So and you can sign in, so by clicking and sign in over here. So as I already have my particular account created, so it definitely brought me up. So it's generally a very new account, so I don't mind about it. So actually it has never been activated as well, so it's my second dummy account, which I would say. So what you have to do is, again, when it takes to your console, sign in. I think it signs me out or again signs me in. Yep. So we have something called root user and IAM user. So that's for login, but let's try to create a new AWS account. So it does ask for your credit card, so that because when you have to pay for monthly charges, you have to do it. And I will also come back to the particular aspect over here, which is free tie, which we will definitely need to think about. So use your email address and create a new name and verify account. It will take to a number of steps, which is you have to ensure that you have to give all the details regarding your credit card and then sign up. So that's as simple as that. Now come back to this particular question. Well, who is a root user and who is an IAM user? So root user is the owner of the complete AWS account. So who says your organization, for example, if you're working for a company. An IAM user is an user within a particular account. So for example, if I need a database engineer who needs to work upon it, I can create an IAM user for him. I can only allocate these many resources which can be seen for him. For example, he just needs to see about his database services. I'll just allocate that this are the visible and the accessible resources for this particular IAM user. He can start working on it. So root user is a owner and IAM user is where you can define which access that he needs to get for a particular resources. So once you do it, your account is created and it will something look like this. I think once again I need to log in. I think it's not necessary, but I will just show you the console. Okay, it shows me again to uh, I guess it's my captcha, right? Nope. I'm very bad at captcha, but don't think me I am a robot. Okay. So it takes you a console. You can search for the services which you need, and it have VPC. EC2 is nothing but your virtual machines, simple server queue service, simple notification service, your AWS Robo Maker and AWS DeepRacer, and so on. So Route 53 for your DNS service, API gateway for managing your complete API management service, ECS for your container services, and so on. So you can all refer to all your resources over here. And now let me take you back to your free resources. So as I said, like you will be charged for particular things, for every single things which you use over here. So which is a free tie. So free tie is where, for example, if it's EC2 And if it's a T2 micro or a T3 micro, you can use up to 750 hash of free tier for that. So you don't really necessary to use it to pay for it, but you can always do something within your free tier. For example, you can store 5 GB of data with S3, and it's available for 12 months free. But after 12 months, you have to pay for it. And there are few services which is always free. Let's try to see that. So your 25 GB of DynamoDB is always free. So, and 1 million requests to in your AWS Lambda is up to 1 million requests is always free. So most of the services have the free tier, and you can manage a simple production service or simple development service within the free tier without actually having to pay for AWS. So please do check out this. So what you have to do is you can just enter your credit card and you can work for it. You won't be actually charged if you work under this particular free tier. But if you do exit, you have to pay for it. But make sure that if you have any credits or billing systems, and you'll be charged and you have to pay for it. So I think that sums up most of the questions and the things that we need to know for this particular episode about what is cloud computing and creating an AWS account for it and knowing the free tier. Now I would really like to jump for the questions if we have any, and I would like to also invite Neetu again here too, so that we can answer for any related to certifications if you have any. So welcome back. Thanks
Yeah.
for again
Hi.
joining in. Hi.
Hi, Vivek. Yeah.
So yep. So we have a couple of questions over here as well. Let's try to answer them one by one. So thanks everyone for joining in. Let's try to take some questions. If you do have any, please drop your questions as well. So there is first question about from Ram Prasad Rajendran, who says, "How can we check what services are running in my AWS account console?" I think I can take up this answer. The two things you can do for it is you can go to your console, you can go for your resource group and check for all the resource group which is deployed in all services, which means you can list down all the services which is currently running. Or the better way to do is go to your billing console, and if you're a root user, you'll be able to see what are the services which are running right now and how much it is being charged, so that you know what's the real time status about what are the services which is running. And make sure that you have keep a good tab on your billing console so that you don't exceed any free tier or your budgets as well. So anything you want to add to this particular question? uh,
Yeah, Vivek. So I think we can. I mean, we'll go about that in the like future sessions. But I think we can set up a billing alarm to understand, right, whether, I mean, how much is the minimum you are. You don't want to go above the free tier,
mhm.
but even if there is a what is the maximum amount you are willing to spend, then you can set it up in the billing alarm. So the moment you go above that, you will get you get alarms in your
Mhm.
account. So that way you're always informed that you are exceeding your free tier, or you're exceeding the amount of time you have to use a resource.
Perfect. Yep. So, if I'm not right, our 10th episode is dedicated to AWS billing and services, so that you really know how we can manage your services as well. Yep. Do set up your billing alerts so that you don't exceed your threshold of your expenditure. So, and regarding the free services and your certifications, yep, I think you can take up this one. So, what are the services? Can you again iterate on what are the free services and the resources that we can refer for our certification preparation?
Yeah, Skill Builder is one. Skill Builder has lots of resources. Even today, I came across one wherein you can kind of have a video game type of a setup, and you have multiple sessions which are kind of an on hands-on labs to understand, as to you get a business scenario and you understand how you can apply to it. So that way, I mean, there are a lot of labs there where like there are cloud practitioner essentials which are similar to our boot camp. There are multiple what is it free sessions there which you can go through to strengthen your knowledge of cloud computing and other services. And also there are sessions wherein it focuses particularly on certification, wherein it tells you what kind of percentage is allotted to each topic and how you have to answer the certification questions. So what are the number of questions that come up in the certification and stuff like that, if you're looking for the certification specific. And apart from that, there is well architected labs. There are There are certain external kind of exam content providers like Tutorials Dojo who also have certain free resources. So all those are helpful when we are preparing.
Okay, that sounds really perfect. So I think you can refer to the relevant resources and the links which is provided in the comment box, and do drop in our the Slack channel where we have a dedicated certification channel where we discuss only about how to create, how to appear for your certification, all, and we provide all the resources for you to help with that as well. So drop in our Slack to know more about the certifications and preparation for it. So we have one another question. So I'm a front-end developer and technical writer, so I learned JS, but I'm looking forward to complete and learning to React. So which certifications or course would you really think I should go for? Okay, so the first step, anything regarding cloud, is to take up a cloud certification exam. So two things over here. So you can learn for a practitioner exam, but it's really your choice whether to appear for it and secure the certification. But since you're mostly outside the domain of your as a technical writer and a front-end developer, I would really suggest you to take up your cloud practitioner exam to see how well you are actually acing it, and also it helps you for your career as well. And second thing, once you are actually a front-end developer, now you have a basic knowledge of how your cloud is working. There is a developer related specialty where you can work on how to create all the necessary resources for the deploying applications and working on it. So I can also drop the necessary uh, certification link to it so you can add up as well. So any comments to add for this?
Yeah. So what I can say is that as Vivek said, the same thing I also kind of emphasize on, that is you need to have a strong foundation to start to work in cloud, or if you are looking for a career change into cloud. So better to have a good foundation. There are many people who kind of skip the cloud practitioner and go for the higher exams, but I always prefer to learn the basics. So start with the, I mean, it's definitely better. AWS never says that you have to give the practitioner to give the associate level, but it's always better to start from the certified cloud practitioner. And as you are already a developer, it is you can go for developer associate, or you can, if you're looking to start, because you're already into development, if you're looking to start architecting, then you can go to the architect associate. Then from then on, there are a lot of, like, after that associate level, you have the professional and the specialty based on what's your interest, so you can take the path accordingly.
Yep, that sounds perfect. So, and also for your reference, as a developer, the best certification after your cloud practitioner would take up a certified developer associate, and this is a link for it where you can refer as well. And also, once again, I'd like to iterate that we do have resources and expertise and boot camps and study groups for exclusively helping you to prepare for certifications. So, try to join our community Slack as well. So, coming to the other questions, so, yep, that was a big discussion which is going around in the comment box regarding which is option one or option two. But yeah, again, like to take up and see, like there are so much of one option one. It's again one over here. So Edward also says it's one. Ganesh says it's two. So Meenakshi says it's two. We have again an option one, and Anmol actually changed to option two. So yeah, so again I said like we have the different features of having it as vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. It totally depends on how you want to host your application. So if you have a monolith application, which is all your applications are binding and coupled into one single application, then I would prefer to have it in a particular VM, which is, and I can scale the VM according how I need to. So that's a vertical scaling would be the right approach if you have a monolith application. But if you have microservices, then a horizontal scaling would really help you out, because I can deploy different services without really need to interact with any other VM in any case. And if one VM goes down, or if one microservice to be particular goes down, I don't really need to care about that. I need to care, but I don't really need to care if other services are going down along with it. So my other services will be really having a run in the production, but I can recover the failed microservice as soon as I can. So it depends on how you want to host your application, and also couple with the cost as well. So that's a decision you have to take, and to know how to take these decisions, you have to know what's your application and how your pricing model works with your services. And that's how your cloud practitioner exam will really help you to understand what are the services we have and which pricing model and which architect we should really go for. So that answers, I think, at the end of the particular bootcamp. Uh, Please do remind me to take up this particular question, and we will have a detailed, amazing discussion on which scaling should we go for. I think we would have so much of things which we have learned throughout the bootcamp, which will really help us to understand pros and cons. So, yep. I think Anmol also stated a lot of good things. So, we will reduce the failure rate of the whole system with horizontal scaling. That's perfectly true. And we can also create policies and to our needs, and we can leave the foods point behind, and someone will be checked every time. So, that's perfect. So, I think Anmol also summarized everything. Pretty good. Will we be getting a reward after completed one training? Uh, do you mean this particular bootcamp? So yeah, coming to the bootcamp, I can walk you through the benefits what you report. So every single person who has appeared for this bootcamp, please do join our Slack community where we'll be posting two important links after every single session. One is the feedback link, and also to acknowledge your presence in this particular bootcamp. So we will give you a certification of attendance, and that depends on your availability on all the 12 sessions. But of course, I know that everyone may not be available due to your work and your educational preferences, but we'll work it out. And coming to the benefits, what you reap out of here is we will have a contest after every single session, and that contest will be announced only in Slack. So if you want to get updated on that, please do join our Slack community again. And then at the end of the particular bootcamp, we'll be also announcing that we have a capstone project, so which will actually cover walk you through the complete concepts what we learned throughout the bootcamp. And the winners of the capstone project will actually also deserve a good giveaway. And for a head start, so that giveaway will be or discounted or a complete voucher which you can use to schedule your particular certification and appear for it. So that's one spoiler which I actually revealed, but please, that's not the only giveaway we are giving. We have a lot of things which is coming up in terms of swags, credits, and so on. So thanks for pointing out that question. So once again, first, I think once again coming to skill builder, most of the sandboxers, I think it's free. But I guess quick lab also gives you that. But I guess you can answer that particular question. So in terms of skill builder, so how does that skill builder work? So do I need to really have an AWS account, or do they provide us sandbox accounts for us to work with? Are you available? Hello.
Sorry. Yeah. Can
Yeah.
you
So
repeat your question?
yeah, my question is, how does skill builder really works? So if I need to work on some services, do I really need to have an AWS account, or is there any services which is provided by skill builder, a sandbox account which I can use to work on AWS?
I doubt that there are sandbox accounts on Skill Builder. Okay. So yeah, you can have sessions, but hands-on, I think for hands-on, you will have to have an account and work on the account within. I mean, if you want to stay within the free tier, then that way. But you will have to have an account to actually practice sessions. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Practice the
Great.
content.
So yep. So I think most of the services which you want to really use for practicing will always come under free tier, so you don't really have to worry about spending amount.
I
So is
will.
vertical
One thing. Sorry, Vivek. Sorry to
yeah.
interrupt. One thing that I would like. I mean, all the people who have attended this session. One thing that is important is you have to keep practicing. Just don't study for just for the certification alone. So to build practical skills is equally important as learning the for certification. So once we are done with every session, please go back and open a free. If you have not already done, open a free account. Try something like look through the free tier and try to understand how it works. The way the topics that Vivek has already covered and subsequently what we'll cover. Just take a look yourself so that you get a hang of it.
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
So everything comes with the practice, and for cloud, it's definitely 100% true. So yeah, once again, a question from Anmol is: I am a user is more like a temporary account. You cannot really say that you can put it into that as a temporary account, but what you can really say is, uh, it's nothing but a complete user account who has access to AWS, but you limit the access to AWS based on the permissions what you give to them. So an IAM stands for Identity Access Management, which means you manage the access and the control for particular resources for that particular user who's accessing that account. So as I said earlier, for me, like if I want to hire a database engineer who wants to work on AWS, I would create an IAM account for him, and as an IAM user who only have access to databases. And same as that, there might be several engineers who really want to have low level accesses, and probably an architect who wants to have a higher level access. So IAM actually defines of whichever access you want to give to the user, and you can update it instantaneously as you want to. So that's a particular thing, and we have all the resources. So yep, there's a good question from Pubalan. So, do we really need to worry about the backup and recovery manually, or is it handled automatically when any of the resource fails? And if it does, how fast is it? I think we can have a joint discussion, but you can go first on this.
You want me to, Vivek?
Yeah, so yeah, if you want, you can take up this question, and also I have a follow up answer. But yeah, if you want, you can take up this question. Yes.
Yeah, backup and recovery, basically it is something that is either you can configure, or you don't have to kind of handle it manually every time, but you'll have to there are some certain services wherein you can manually configure it once, like it's a once a time kind of a setup. And there are some like serverless serverless services which take care, or say it completely Amazon, AWS managed. AWS managed, they are totally handled by AWS for backup and recovery. So like Aurora, the database, the backup and recovery is totally handled by AWS. So there are different types of services, and for them, the treatment is different. In certain cases, you'll have to configure it yourself once, and in other cases, it will be handled by AWS. I think we'll talk about those topics in our further sessions as well.
Yep. So we have an
Yeah.
exclusive session on backup and recovery. So I think please stay tuned and also register for our upcoming sessions. You can find all the information in our Slack community. So this is a particular topic that we can elongately and elaborately discuss on each different services as we have discussed. So I think coming to the skill builder, I think we have answered it enough, but you can do really go and check it out and come back. So yep,
Guys,
one.
one thing.
Yeah,
Sorry.
please do. Yep. Yeah, please.
Uh, yeah. I think as Sri says, there are also AWS Educate. Yeah, that's something new that came. Even that has some free labs. That's correct. That's what he rightly pointed. Another thing that I wanted to add was that for this one thing that I forgot to mention, that is skill builder and AWS certification, right? For that you
Mhm.
need an Amazon account, not an AWS account. I mean, not an AWS console account, but an Amazon account to log into. So once you have that account, you can log in and you can start, either for applying
Mhm.
for certification or for skill builder. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, perfect. That sounds good. So I think we have answered almost all the questions we had in our community. So, but if you do really have more questions, feel free to drop to our Slack community and more and more. So with this, actually, we'll conclude with a couple of things which for this particular episode one. I'll once again share my screen. So let me know when my screen is available. Yes, it's showing. Okay, perfect. So what's next? So I want to just have a glimpse of how our community works. So in our community, we have a particular motto. So which is we learn together, we contribute together, we grow together. So actually, that's the main objective why we created this particular bootcamp as well. So all the bootcamp speakers are first timers and new to AWS who wants to learn and then go back and contribute back to the community. So that's not the only way, and the bootcamp is one such initiative. But there are a lot of ways you can contribute back to the community in our AWS User Group. So if you really like to do podcast, you can be a guest, or you can even be a host of your own podcast under our community. You can work on open source projects. We have all the expertise from newbies to expert and professionals who can help you out in your projects. And we have, if you want to be a technical speakers, yes, we invite. And of course we do have a couple of fun activities which go around our community. So we have game nights which is planned for every month. Last Friday we'll have some sort of a gamifying event, and the winners will obviously get some cool goodies. So you can also contribute in terms of technical and non-technical. You can also contribute something related to AWS by creating Instagram reels or write some content in terms of blogs, or if you want to host a Twitter space and also speak in it, so we are also up for it. And not only that, you can also help us manage social medias and digital art. If you're a digital artist, you can come up with posters and so on. So we have a very tight collaborations with startups and companies in and around Madurai and within Tamil Nadu, so that you can also keep to know about what are jobs which is being opened up with our in our jobs channel in our Slack community. So what we do is actually we provide you all the platform resources and support, and you can create and consume content in your preferred language. So there is no restrictions on anything. And why do we really want to join us? So you can have a networking with all AWS experts from different domains. For example, I really like to talk about machine learning and AI, but if you really ask me much about anything related to serverless, I would really like to point it to a serverless expert and more like for them. So we have a complete domain of different expertise. So we have community builders, who is Maheshwar Kumar, who is of data, and we have Tejas, we have Sandhana Kumar, who is also an ML community builder, and myself, who is an ML hero. So we have several expertise and professionals who is working in AWS and also as a community people who will really point you out. And special access to AWS content and event updates. Yep, we do keep talking a lot about AWS, so we'll keep you updated of all the events which is happening around, and also post you all the relevant content for it. And of course you get to know a few things about swags, vouchers and goodies, so you can always offer it. So it's always good to carry something, a goodie which has an AWS print on it, right? And most importantly, we have knowledge sharing and learning. So that's our main motive. So we help others to learn and we learn as well. And we help you in certifications through boot camps and study groups. And as I said earlier, so we have jobs and hiring opportunities which always go around in a community. So we are here to network and learn, and you can have content in any languages, and we have all the expertise. And you can always prefer to speak in your own regional language, which we actually appreciate. So you can speak in English, Tamil, or Hindi, or anything. So we have people from all over India, so we can attend to it. And we have contests and giveaways from time to time. So this is our Slack community. So bit.ly/join AWS MDU, and we are also available in every single social media, so which goes under the name at rate AWS UG MDU. So follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Reddit, and everywhere, so we can engage you in your favorite social media as you want to. So, thank you for attending for today's episode one of Introduction to Cloud Computing and creating an AWS account. And thank you for active participation and dropping in your queries and chats. So, if you do have any queries more than that, please do drop in a Slack, and we'll help you to answer. And coming back to the two important reminders. So we have the episode one contest coming up. So drop in a Slack and to know more about the information. And also the second one is we had our International Women's Day event, which happened a couple of days back. So for that, we have special contest which is planned, where you can write anything or express yourself to for on the topic of breaking the bias or women in tech, and you can win cool prizes. To know about what prizes you can win, check out our Slack random channel as well. So thank you for joining for today's session, and join us for the second session on Thursday, which is 17th of March. So where we'll be talking about the second episode from Ganesh. So until then, stay safe, and happy to see you in next session. Thank you everyone, and bye.